the media's response to Kanye, as I mentioned before, first of all, there was their shock and horror that Kanye would even be in the White House. How dare he? Then we get to the actual racism. So a bunch of Democrats are just racists. They're just racist. They think that the color of Kanye's skin should dictate his political viewpoint. That is racism. Now, I've said in the past that when there are people who say, I am Jewish and I believe in abortion, for example, I've said that's not a Jewish principle. You know why? Because Judaism isn't an ethnicity only, it's a religion. Right? It's an actual set of principles. It's like saying that if you're pro-abortion and you say that you're Christian, that's really difficult to say because Christian is a set of principles. Black is not a set of principles. White is not a set of principles. Asian is not a set of principles. It's an ethnicity. It's a skin color. It's a race. Okay, none of those should dictate anything having to do with what goes on inside your head, obviously, because if we thought that it did, that would be textbook racism. But the left likes to engage in textbook racism. It's their favorite thing. So we begin with Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile, you will recall, was briefly the head of the DNC before it was learned that she had been allegedly leaking questions in the debates to Hillary Clinton to help her defeat Bernie Sanders when she was working over at CNN. Here is what she tweeted out. Hashtag, Kanye West has set us back 155 years. Wish Sojourner Truth could have met him outside the White House and Frederick Douglass inside the Oval Office. Barack Obama never would have become president with this crap. But let's meet Kanye on election day by voting for Democrats. So let's do the dating here. Kanye West has set us back 155 years. Well, it's 2018 now. Subtract 155 and you are talking about 1863 when slavery was still present. So let me get this straight. An uber wealthy black guy, like a billionaire black guy, goes to the White House to meet with the president, hugs the president, and gets the president to embrace criminal justice reform that he is pushing specifically because he thinks too many black men are in prison. And that's the same as slavery, according to Donna Brazile. That's the same as slavery, according to Donna Brazile. Oh, okay, sure, why not? Okay, that was not even the worst. Okay, that was just the beginning. Then there was these CNN contributors who decided to mock Kanye as a token Negro who was illiterate. Because there's nothing that says I'm not racist, quite like calling a black man who thinks differently a token Negro who's illiterate. Nothing quite like saying that. Just astonishing. Here's two separate Democrats on CNN saying this. One of them is Bakari Sellers and the other is Tara Setmeyer. And it's just bad stuff.
Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. And we have this now, and now Donald Trump is going to use it and pervert it, and he's going to have somebody who can stand with him and take pictures.
Just looking at Scott's. Scott's like, whoa, okay. So
that's objective news anchor Don Lemon laughing as Bakari Sellers says that Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read. Okay, well, imagine if anybody had said that about, how many books does Jay-Z read? Or Beyonce? Do I think that they are the great learned of Western civilization? I mean, I don't know. I somehow doubt it. But does that matter? They're allowed to have their own perspective. This idea that Kanye West is illiterate because he disagrees with you is basically racist. It's essentially racist. But Bakari Sellers can get away with it because he's a black man. So it's okay. Because Bakari is black and Kanye is black, he can call Kanye West a token Negro who is essentially illiterate and doesn't read books, as opposed to actually engaging with his argument. That wasn't the worst of it either. Then April Ryan shows up. So April Ryan is supposedly a reporter. She's actually mostly an activist. And she was on CNN, and she brought up a guy named Ray J. Now, for those of you who are not culturally fluent, Ray J is most famous for having done a sex tape with Kim Kardashian, who is currently Kanye West's wife. So Kanye West is married to Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian rose to prominence on the back, no pun intended, of the Ray J sex tape. April Ryan went for comment on the Kanye visit to the White House to the guy who stooped Kanye's wife on tape before she knew Kanye. All class, these members of the media, just all class. Okay, reaching out to the ex-lover of a guy's wife for comment is just, that is not even beyond the bounds of journalistic ethics. That's beyond the bounds of ethics, period. It's just beyond ethics. It's crazy stuff. That's crazy. Why in the world would you think that Ray J has anything unique to offer to this situation except that he once slept with Kim Kardashian on tape? How is that even on CNN? How does CNN call itself a news network and do that sort of thing? That's just garbage. It's just garbage. And it gets even worse than that. So Don Lemon, who is a disgrace to the name of objective journalism. It's amazing. Like, there are people who I think try to be objective on CNN. I've said before, I think Jake Tapper very often tries to be objective and tries to actually do his job. Don Lemon has forsaken all relationship with objectivity, but still somehow calls himself an objective news reporter, not an opinion journalist. Here is Don Lemon invoking Kanye West's dead mother to attack him. His dead mother to attack him. Don't worry, this is just journalism, guys. So much journalisming, so much reporting happening right here.
This was an embarrassment. Kanye's mother is rolling over in her grave. I spoke to one of her friends today, or texted with one of her friends today from Chicago, Donda's friends. I used to live there. I know him. She said Donda would be embarrassed by this.
Is that an okay thing? Is that something that we're doing now? We're allowed to attack people's dead relatives, use their dead relatives to attack them? Not their dead relatives in the sense that, like, their dead relatives did something wrong, but in the sense that a dead relative who you didn't know and know nothing about and had a relationship with this man, that she would be ashamed of him? That she would be ashamed of Kanye West? Like, this is sick. I'm sorry, this is just sick. And the media's overwrought reaction to the fact that Kanye West shows up in the White House is indicative of a couple of different things. One, it is indicative of the fact that when a black person says they like President Trump, the media hates no one like a black person who says they like President Trump. No one. Because they have violated the tenets of intersectionality, which suggests that we all think like our group. We all think like our ethnic group. So if you break away from that ethnic group, or you break away from that sexual group, right? You're a gay person who likes Trump, or you're a woman who likes Trump. If you're any of those things, then you're a traitor. Right? We saw this with all the women who supported Brett Kavanaugh. They were sex traitors. They had just given in to the patriarchy. They had internalized the Handmaid's Tale. And now we see this with Kanye West. He's a black guy who's really white on the inside. He's an Oreo, right? He's black on the outside, but white on the inside. He's in the sunken place, as people are now saying, right? That sort of stuff is deeply racist, but that's why the left is so upset with Kanye, is because he breaks two of their rules. One, he's a black man who supports Trump, not allowed. Two, he's a celebrity who supports Trump, also not allowed. For people to understand how much Trump is hated in Hollywood, you have to understand that in Hollywood, if you even express a remotely right-wing opinion, you will never work again. Never work again. I've said this before. I have celebrities who listen to this show. They're major I'm not talking A celebrities. I'm talking A+ celebrities who listen to this show. And I've visited with some of them. I've had lunch or breakfast. People have come into this office who are quite famous. And I always tell them, do not mention that you have been here if you wish to work in this town. Because the bias in Hollywood is so extreme that it doesn't matter your size of celebrity. If you say that you've been associated with me, and I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. If you say that you associated with me, just a mainstream conservative who's pretty reasonable, then that is enough to lose you jobs, right? That actually happened out here with Mark Duplass, who just got destroyed, right? Mark Duplass, the guy who directed Wild Wild Country on Netflix, and he's done a bunch of other, he's on the Mindy Project, he's done a bunch of other stuff. He came in here because he wanted to get a pro-gun opinion from somebody for his new movie. And so he came in, and I gave him like an hour and a half, and I said to him, don't tell anyone you've been here, because if you do, it will blow back on you. And then he foolishly went on Twitter and said I was a nice guy, and it ended his world. He was attacked so harshly on Twitter, he deleted the tweet and then put up a tweet apologizing for ever having tweeted that I was a nice guy. Right? Apologizing for that. That's how it works in Hollywood. So Kanye has broken two rules. He's a black man, and he's extraordinarily famous. And if you are a black, extraordinarily famous person, you are not allowed to be pro-Trump, and you are not allowed to be conservative in any way. You have to toe the liberal line. You wonder why, to Senya's great shock and dismay, Taylor Swift came out and embraced the Democratic Party? Because if you do not embrace the Democratic Party and you are a celebrity, they will tear you down. You know, we on the right joked for a long time about the fact that Taylor Swift had not said anything politically because the left kept calling on her to say something politically. Well, eventually she did, because she finally was pressured into it.